Grand Soul Rising, everyone. I hope y'all had a restful sleep, and I am blessed and happy that you were able to awaken and arise to a new day. So, with that being said, I know a lot of you have seen on my page where I am offering shadow work or I am offering healing for shadow work. And as much as I am receiving a flood of inboxes and questions about the shadow work, I am very blessed and thank you for that. But what I really want to talk to you guys about is whether or not you feel that you're ready for shadow work. Spirit is going to tell you or try you and test you. Okay? Now, for a lot of people, they're like, well, what is shadow work? What is this, that, and the third? And from my perception, from my point of view, being a person who has done the absolute epitome and definition of root work for this shadow healing, I personally feel that the healing the shadows experience has been explained completely wrong. So, from my perspective, as a person who's been through this, that's what I'm going to teach and talk from, okay? So, my preference, my experience with healing the shadows, you have to understand what shadow work is. What shadow work is you are allowing yourself to fall into that lower level. You're allowing yourself to fall into that lower subconscious state of things that you tend to forget, or your body and mind will feel that it was too traumatic for you to remember. Okay? So when that happens at an early age, that is called losing your soul. Anytime that you go through a severe traumatic experience to where while this is happening, you no longer can feel, hear, think, you may just hear a mute tone. Some of you may just have ringing in the ears. I know for me, when the first time I was able to go through losing my soul, I just went numb. I mean, I could still feel the pressure and the actions as to what was happening to me, but I was numb. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was numb. I was stuck. My first experience with losing my soul or going through that traumatic experience, I was about 3 years old, or maybe even younger than that. And my very first memory was of my mom dating this man. And of course, she had my little brother in the car seat. And literally all I remember from this event is my mom and this dude were, laying in the bed next to me fucking. And as he was fucking my mom, he was reaching over my mom and playing with me. And I was up against the wall. So with that being said, that was my very first experience with having to deal with a loss of my soul. The next memory that I had was of course, my mom and my dad arguing. Now, I knew that this memory that I was seeing had to be also young as well, because in the memory, the couches in the memory, they were really, really high. Like, I had to look up. So that sort of gave me the feeling that I was still very, 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 very young. And that is when I had to watch my mom and my biological father at an early age go at it and fight. And I remember her slamming the door in his face and him walking off into the night in the rain. So that was another one. Some experiences that you may go through that may cause you to even lose your soul is for a lot of us who have been sexually abused very, very early. If you've had any type of molestation, rape, sodomy at a very, very, very early age, that is because your soul knows what the fuck was going on. But unfortunately, your body could not keep up with what your soul knew. So your soul was like, we can't do this right now. This is too much. This is too much too soon. I cannot. And what does the soul do? The soul will check out to protect you. Now, over a period of years, to certain people, this may happen repeatedly to where they never receive healing. And honestly, in the Black community, this sexual trauma is something that we tend to cover up deeply. We tend to cover it up from our moms, our uncles, our stepdads. You have parents out here fighting their children. You have aunts and uncles still trying to holler at their young nieces and nephews. And at no point in time have you seen any family member address any other family member about what is going on in the family. Now, we'll all talk about it. We'll keep it on the hush-hush because what happens in this house stays in this house. But ultimately, what this comes down to is a lot of you people are knowing that your family has a lot of these demons or these tendencies. And instead of knucking up and knuckling up and fixing the shit, you want to hide. Because more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you've also had some type of experience with it as well. And that is something that happens when you have been traumatized. A lot of the people around that main person, they all have been aware or have been through it or know something from it, okay? So there is no, oh, well, I didn't know. No, you knew. Even if Auntie Darlene said it on the wind when she was drunk, you heard it. You knew, but apparently it was not serious enough for you to really care. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people have the notion of, well, it didn't happen to me, so I don't have your experience, and that's the problem. You don't know what it's like to go for years and years and years on autopilot with no soul. You don't know what it's like to go for years and years and years on your human experience, but realize that a lot of stuff could have been avoided. All because there was no one there to really help you or defend you or to tell you that, hey, I know you're in a dark room right now, but I'm standing next to the door and I can get you out. We did not grow up with those people. We grew up with the generation of work hard, play hard, whatever happened in this house, stay in this house. And unfortunately, that's what has a lot of us fucked off to where we are right now. So, to continue about why someone may lose their soul during this shadow work or whatever, is because you will have repeated trauma. And I am a prime example of repeated trauma. Meaning, when I was a baby, when I was younger, from the ages 3 on up to about 8 years old, I was being molested. I was being raped. I was being touched on. Between my stepdad, my goddad, my cousins, both female and male. Okay? And even when I was growing up, I had been accused of certain acts by family members, especially my mom and my stepdad. And when I was accused of it, it reminded me of the video that I saw on Facebook about this little girl who had been posting herself all over on her little TikTok or whatever, and then her mom jumped on there and, of course, beat her on Facebook and humiliated her. That instance reminded me of my mom and my stepdad, because I know what that's like to have been doing some shit that you done seen somebody else do and then get beat and you don't know why you're getting beat. Because there is no one there to explain it to you or why that is inappropriate. So that also is something that I had to go through by myself, of discovering and learning why certain behaviors were not appropriate, because nobody would tell me. I didn't know. So I had been through this process of being raped, molested, and traumatized from everybody else in my family, and now I'm out here trying to fix shit. And how am I fixing it? By looking for love in all the wrong places in my teens. So now I'm in my teens and I'm trying to grow up and be better because I don't want to keep getting in trouble. I don't want my parents to keep disowning me and doing dumb shit. But apparently they're going to do that anyway. So with that being said, I was in a place and space and an environment that really did not help me grow. I was in the church singing praise worship. I was a praise dancer. I could speak in tongue. And all that let me know was that I was spiritually beginning to awaken. I was becoming spiritually aware. Spirit was like, all right, baby, look, it's that time for you to get to elevating because there's too much going on and it's time for us to do better. You know better now, so it's now time to do better. And literally, that freedom of doing better, or what I thought was going to be doing better, it came when I was about 17 years old, when my mom and my stepdad decided to call my biological father and my grandmother and tell them they were putting me on a one-way bus and they didn't give a fuck where I went because I was not going to destroy what they worked too hard to build. And it's sad because I've seen those exact same mothers and fathers on Facebook brutalizing their children. Just pure brutalization. No love, no decency, no empathy, no sympathy, not even being a parent. You just being a human. And that's literally the only other way I can explain that action is you're being human. So I did not have anybody to explain things to me because sex is such a big taboo in this country. So I was sort of growing up on my own. I learned on my own. And you have to realize how much all of that trauma will put on you internally. So now we up to being about 17, 18 years old and I'm on my own. I graduated high school. Can't nobody tell me shit. Bad part though, I'm still a virgin, technically speaking. Willingly speaking, I still have not laid with anybody that I was liking or crushing on or nothing. Because at this point in my life, sex, I didn't want people touching me. Don't look at me, don't hug me, don't touch me. Hell, even growing up, if my mom, out of the blue, wanted to hug me, I was thinking something was wrong because I already knew that bitch don't hug me. We don't hug. We don't even say, I love you. We don't do none of that. So I had to learn a lot on my own. And when I got to Gary, Indiana, 219 GI till I die. Okay, anyway, back to what I was saying. And when I got to Gary, I was very thankful and blessed that my mom had given up her motherhood to my grandmother. Because when I say I am beyond blessed, humbled, and grateful for Gloria D. Ragulin, that woman there was the beginning of my healing. And the first thing that I ever remember my grandma tell me is, Lynn, why are you going to church? And I had to tell grandma, I was like, honestly, because y'all keep making me go. I don't have a reason to go to church. Because church is what put me in this predicament. Following the Bible is what put me in this predicament. Because I went to my elders for help. I went to these people for help. But they all shared the same mentality and mindset, so there was no help. There was no help. So with that being said, and her response to me was, if you ain't got no reason for being in that church, don't go. And that's coming from one of the most spiritual people in my life. She told me off the rip, if you ain't got no reason to be in the church house then, baby, why are you going? There is no point of you being in a place and space that's really not helping you or doing anything for you. If you going to church ain't helping you become a better person, then you don't need to be going. And at first when my grandma said that, I thought she was trying to be funny and be slick. But then I really had to sit with myself and listened to what she was saying. And she was right. There was nothing in that church that was going to help me move forward and move further in my shadow work. Because I had already been damaged, bruised, and traumatized and been running on autopilot for most of my life. So, once Grandma had, of course, imparted that into me, I was still very young and naive. Still very young and naive. I was about 18, 19 years old in Gary, Indiana, fresh out of high school. Me and my big sister, or me and my street family or whatever, hey, we was living it. We was living it. And we was getting it how we lived. And I was operating in a way where I knew I could manipulate certain situations and circumstances. But I was not careful with what I was doing. And it also landed me back into more triggering traumatic experiences, because now I was looking for love that I didn't get growing up. And I ended up with the boy next door. My very first real boyfriend, the boy next door. I ain't know nothing about Greg for real, until I found out that I had been raped and left for dead on the stairs. And that was his way of, quote unquote, initiating me. Hence blood. I was raped in. I was drugged up and raped in at that. And his little baby mama or whatever, she came over to the house and had me have something to drink. And like I said, I was naive. I didn't know no better. I drunk the shit. I drunk the shit and woke up on the stairs bloody. After that, it was just more trauma. And I did not say drama. Trauma. Because if you don't know about Gary, don't go. But if you ain't fit, you ain't surviving. Gary is a place literally that is survival of the fittest. If you ain't fit, you gonna die there. And I thank Spirit that I made it out. So, what really put all of this shadow work and everything that I had been into perspective is when I had my daughter. When I had my mini goddess. When I had that mini version of me. And if you guys have seen my baby, you already know I love my little thing more than life itself. But literally, looking at her and dealing with her and realizing that the people that I was going to have to bring her around, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So literally, I began digging into myself. I signed up for psychology classes. I signed up for social work classes. I signed up for any and everything scientifically speaking that I could get my hands on, because I did not want to keep repeating this cycle. I did not want to keep repeating that trauma. And at that point, when I decided that this was enough, that is when I decided to start healing my own shadows. And when you are healing those shadows, you sort of do have to know how to have past life regression. Because what that does is it allows you to go back to those past places and spaces you blocked out in your mind. And it's hard to get access if you're not ready. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people will be jumping in this and, oh, I'm ready. As above, so below. The point of shadow work isn't to be all light and fluffy. It is to either learn to deal with those demons that have been created, or to release those demons. You get what I'm saying? Either you gonna make peace or you gonna release. That is the point of shadow work. As above, so below. As above, you've been working years and years and years and trying to heal yourself with self-love and self this, that, and the third. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But when are you going to make peace with them demons too? And a lot of them demons, you were born with. They've become attached to you as you've grown through life. And you've also created. You created them. So at this point, place, and space in your life, it's time for you to really decide, are you really ready to make peace with a lot of them demons? Are you really ready to make peace and face a lot of situations that you have put yourself in because of things that have been done to you? You have to take responsibility for what you've done in this. There, in the shadow realm, there is no such thing as a victim. And even I had to learn that after being raped in the military, raped by my friends and family, molested, sodomized, and left for dead in the winter in Gary, Indiana. Had my family members there listening to each other. Oh, well, Lynn's a bad person. Oh, well, Oye's this. Mama's that. And not one person ever came and talked to me personally about what had been going on. And now here it is, 32 years later. And my stepdad's family is coming forth. Yeah, the whole family is incest. Oh! But I thought I was lying growing up. I thought I was seeing shit growing up. All of that plays a toll on your mental. Being denied your truth plays a toll on your mental. Because you've lived your truth. You've been in your truth. Can't nobody tell you about your truth. Which is why I am a representation of tranquil truths. 333. You will not have tranquility until you speak your truth. And baby, when I tell you, it's going to be worth it. It's more than worth it. Because you have no idea who could be listening to your story and can become healed from that story. You don't know who has been going through that exact same trauma of being molested by cousins and family members and having the women in the family turn a blind eye to it. Then you on your own, and now you got to learn the lesson of these streets don't love nobody. So now you being raped, molested, and sodomized in the street. Do you see how all of this trauma is building up? Now you're going from relationship to relationship to relationship, still not healing. You're traumatizing yourself now because you're running on autopilot. And eventually, your soul is like, no more autopilot. We got to fix this. Because if we don't, we'll die. If you don't change, you'll die. And that's literally what it came down to for me. Once I decided to sit with myself, heal myself, look at myself, see my demons that I've created, deal with the demons that I've created, banish the ones that serve me no more purpose, broken generational curses. Because now I'm comfortable with my daughter going in certain places with certain people. I don't have to have that trust issue. I'm comfortable being married to the man that I'm married to now. And I don't have to worry about him having an ulterior motive. I can mentor and teach to people now and talk about my experience in healing, because when I say I got to the point I was suicidal and would slit my wrist open and nothing would bleed, my skin wouldn't even tear open. So I would just be sitting here marking myself up because I wanted to die. And Spirit was like, no, baby. No, baby. We got something way better for you. We got something way better for you. And that is why the healing the shadows ritual is so important, y'all. And I know a lot of y'all didn't know a lot of that about Mama Oye, but I feel like it's time. It's time. Because if you really want to know about shadow work, it has nothing to do with your higher self. Your shadow work is dealing with that shit that nobody else wants to deal with. Your shadow work is digging up them generational curses of years and years and years and years of family members touching on each other and not saying nothing. Shadow work is years and years and years of you knowing that you leading these men in, but you know you have nothing good to offer them. So you just take it. That is because you have created that lower vibrating demon of yours, which is literally an extension of yourself. So when people tell you, oh, you're crazy, you have this, that, and the third, you have to remember the trauma you've been through. To where that energetic trauma stacked up and stacked up and stacked up, where you were at a constant state of help me, help me, help me. Somebody fucking help me! That energy and that entity responded to your help. Your SOS. It responded. Now you have to learn to either work with your demons or release them, baby. Because if you don't release them, there is no healing for you, for your bloodline, for the children coming after you, because you're going to start seeing the trauma repeat itself again in the next generation. But if you're not there to ready to dive in feet first in your shadow self, in your shadow realm, you've been living in the as above most of your life. So when are you going to return back to the place that created your below? And go take back your dominion. Go take back your power. Go take back your energy. When are you going to go do that? Or are you too afraid of what you've created now? Because you've been living a victim for so many years. When you're ready to heal, baby, Mama Oya is right here, because I done been there and done that too. So for those of you that are trying to do this shadow work in the healing, Mama Oya is here waiting for you, baby. I done dug my way out the motherfucking dark just to make sure y'all got a way out too. Let's get this shit, y'all. Let's start healing. Let's start implanting this love. And another thing is, I want a lot of people to stop telling everybody else, you need to love yourself, sis. Sometimes it ain't even love. Sometimes it's just pure discipline. You just being a hard-headed person. Hard head make a soft ass, baby. And that's one of my biggest mottos that I learned from Spirit personally. I'm going to give you what you want, and you're going to lose what you had. Spirit is going to give you what you want, and you will lose what you had. So if you are not ready to deal with those demons, don't play with this shadow work. Don't play with that shadow man. Because it get ugly out here in these spiritual streets in the lower realm. If you are not careful, if you are not protected, and you don't know what you're doing, it's rough out here. And if you are not strong enough to pull yourself back to the light after living without your soul for years, don't play here. Don't come here. Because it's not a walk in the street, okay? It's not a walk in the park. You're not going to just jump into this healing ritual 5 pages in and, oh, I'm healed. No, you're not. Because Spirit is going to test you now. Spirit is going to deliberately throw triggers at you to see, are you still triggered? Can we still fuck with you that way? Can I still get you out of your comfort zone? Can I still get you out of your body? If I can get you out of your body, are you really healed? No. But that comes from also a lot of people not knowing how to give back the negative energies that have been imparted to them as well. You don't know how to get rid of that shit. You don't know how to let go of the visions of people molesting you and touching you or doing this to other people around you. How do you get rid of that? Acknowledge it and make sure it don't happen again. Acknowledge your part in it and make sure it don't happen again. Take your accountability this go round. Stop playing victim. Because at this point in your life, you ain't a victim no more, baby. You know very well what the fuck been going on. Shadow work ain't easy, but it's so beyond worth it. And it's life-changing. And the people around you will begin to change their lives as well. So when you're ready, baby, I'm here waiting on you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Y'all know my motto. Namaste, guys, but no, I'm going to stay over here. Holla.